Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and today I'm going to share a poll update. I haven't done one in a while, and well, usually I do these more frequently when we get closer to an election than we are right now. But I do just want to mention that if you've been watching this vlog, you know my views, my political orientation. I am a conservative, but I do try to be fair, and you're always welcome in the comments to tell me when I'm not being fair, and I'll take it into serious consideration. So a while ago, the reason I mentioned this is because a few vlogs ago, I did a vlog where as you may know, when it comes to midterm elections, the party in power, the party that has the White House, usually loses seats. So in this case, Republicans obviously have the White House. We have the midterms coming up in 2026, November 2026. And historical trends show, especially the Republicans have only I don't know. I think they only have a one-seat majority right now. It could be a little more. It's hard to, I'd have to look it up because there have been retirements and deaths on both sides. I don't know if there's been deaths on both sides, but there definitely have been deaths on one side and retirements on both sides. So I don't know what the ratio is right now, but history says that the Democrats will take the House. Now, I did a few vlogs ago that showed that or provided evidence that that may not necessarily be true, that there were poll numbers and just various poll numbers showing that the Republicans could keep the House in the 2026 election. But as I said, I like to be fair, and I'm going to share some full polls today. And these polls show exactly the opposite. They show not only the Democrats taking the House, but that they doing it by a pretty good margin. Here, let me put up the poll. Actually, I should have said, let me put up the polls. There are several of them. But the average up here at the very top row has the Democrats with a 3-point lead on the generic ballot. But you look down and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 polls. And they all show, every one of those polls show the Democrats ahead. And some of them, well, the most recent one, Atlas Intelligence, which is a very good pollster. They are one of the better ones. And another one is Rasmussen. They're on the second row. So Rasmussen has the Democrats on the generic ballot ahead by 4 points. And the Atlas poll has them ahead by a really wide 8-point lead. So you see that at least the recent polls are very strong for the Democrats. Now, throw a little fly into the ointment, though, is that if the two parties are even, then I don't remember what it is, but I think the Democrats need more than a 2-point lead to take the House. That's just the way the polls work. Well, if you follow polls at all, you know that for whatever reason, the polls tend to, well, we saw it in the 2024 election that all these polls, or most of the polls, showing a very close race, and of course Trump ran away with it. The point is, these polls, for whatever reason, they underestimate Republicans. So usually it's not enough for the two parties to be even. The Democrats have to be ahead by, I would say, if I remember correctly, more than 2 points to be sure. Not to say that they couldn't with a 2-point lead, but then the average here is 3 points, but the most recent one is 8 points. So we'll have to see what happens going forward, whether we see more polls like that, 8 points. If that happens, then obviously this average is going to go up. And I would say if the Democrats have a 5-point on average, averaging several, 7 or 8 polls or even more, averaging them all together, and you have, say, a 5-point lead for the Democrats, well, then the Republicans can kiss the House goodbye, which probably is one reason, because obviously the Republicans take polls, and I'm sure the president is taking polls. And if you want to see why Trump is Trump is accomplishing so much more in what, 6 months now than any other, more than Roosevelt. I think he's ahead of Franklin Roosevelt, FDR, not Theodore. He's even ahead of him. And people would say, well, he's a real strong leader, going, tough, get going kind of guy. But it could also be because they are seeing polls, and the Republicans in the House and the Senate are seeing those same polls, realizing that it does look like the Republicans could are on track to keep the Senate, but you never know, right? But on the House, as these polls I just shared show, these recent ones, the Democrats could take the House, and if they take the House, and the Republican agenda, President Trump's agenda, that pretty much gets stopped dead in its tracks. So that's one reason why you're seeing all this activity. You're seeing why Trump recently said that the the Senate at least, should not. The House already went on recess for about August recess, or 5 weeks, I think it is, and they did that politically because you had both parties, even Republicans, pushing for a vote on some kind of resolution about calling for release of Epstein files, which are doing, and that could be a separate blog. I don't understand all the focus by. Well, actually, there was a poll of just the Republican base. They are not really fixed. Washington, the Beltway, the so-called Beltway, is focused on this issue, and you have the media, right? They're Democrats, so obviously they're helping the Democrats. They want to keep this issue alive. So Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, recessed the House so that such a vote could not take place, at least for the next 5 weeks. Senate, however, is still in session, and Trump is calling on John Thune, to the majority leader in the Senate, not to forgo the recess and just stay in session and confirm as many of Trump's appointments, especially his judicial appointments. He's actually, I think, a little bit behind compared to other presidents in getting judges confirmed because of the focus on the big, beautiful bill, and now a rescission package which just passed. But he's calling on them to stay in session, as you probably know. If you don't know, for those of you, maybe you're a recent immigrant, legal immigrant, and don't know how our government works. But the House is not necessary when it comes to just confirming presidential nominees for judgeships and cabinet positions and certain other positions. So he wants to keep them in session. But again, it's I'm sure one reason is because they're seeing polls like the ones that just show you, and they're worried about losing the House, and so they have only 18 months or whatever to get everything done. They have until January of, if the Democrats take the House, then they have until January 3rd, 2027 to get as much done as they can. And if the Democrats take the House, win the election in 2026 November, obviously you're going to see in the Senate, at least where it's easier to do, maybe possible in the House, not as easy, but you're going to see a lot of obstruction. They'll just do everything they can to prevent the Republicans and President Trump from getting anything done, and run out the clock until January, when they will have the House. On the other hand, of course, the other side of the coin is if the Republicans keep the House, then they've got many more months to get something to continue, to build on what they would have done up to that point. So for them, Republicans, just a win-win situation to just go full steam, get as much done as they can before the 2026 election not next November, the November after. So that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. Your comments always welcome in the comments section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. But most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.